They said tariffs would bring jobs back, but today, across the country, the factory clocks have stopped for good. Entire contracts have vanished. Warehouses that once fed families now echo with silence. In their place now are empty lunchboxes, unpaid mortgages, and children watching parents scan job boards that never update. Could this be more than just a shift, but a whole erasure for what the American working class count on? All of this triggered by 10 countries just chose Canada over the United States. Recently, but permanently. They need certainty, speed, and simplicity. And right now, America can't offer any of that. This is what it looks like when a country gets quietly crossed off the global blueprint. No speeches, no alarms, just doors closing one by one. This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. And today, we will reveal 10 Nations Ditch U.S., leading to jobs and manufacturing collapse. Number 1. Russia. How do you explain the quiet rise of a nation the world was supposed to leave behind? A country locked behind sanctions, politically frozen out, and labeled a pariah in Western boardrooms. Yet somehow, it is pulling entire industries away from the United States without firing a shot. Russia didn't just survive the global reshuffle, now it turned into a blueprint for independence. Have you noticed that while American businesses tangled with inflation, rising union demands, and unpredictable regulations, Russia took a different route. It scaled up domestic factories, streamlined its energy exports, and began laying new tracks with countries like India, China, Turkey, and Brazil. These are not just casual buyers anymore. They are building things with Russia, like power grids, industrial railroads, gas pipelines, entire shipping corridors that cut right through the Arctic and skip over American ports entirely. And while American companies wrestle over compliance paperwork and lose billions in delayed contracts, Russia is shifting faster than anyone expected. Where it once imported American aerospace parts, fertilizers, or machinery, it now fabricates them at home or sources them from regional allies who want less paperwork and more profit. Behind the scenes, smelting plants in Siberia hum through the night, processing metals that once passed through Midwestern mills, cargo trains packed with turbine blades, lithium cells, and even semiconductor components now roll out from Tarstan or Novosibirsk, bound for countries where made in the USA is no longer a gold standard, but a question mark. This isn't nostalgia for a Cold War past. It's a surgical pivot away from American dependency, toward a multipolar marketplace where influence is earned through delivery, not diplomacy. And while Washington debates trade policy in circles, Russia rewrites its economic map in ink. So here's the uncomfortable truth for American workers. Russia didn't just build a new door after sanctions slammed the old one shut. It built a new house, invited old American partners in, and locked the gate behind it. Now the real question is, if even Russia can move this fast under pressure, where does that leave America in a world that's moving on? Number 2, India. Once seen as the world's back office, India has stepped into an entirely new role, and it's one that's hitting American workers right where it hurts. This isn't about call centers anymore. This is about jet engines, electric cars, life-saving medicine, and the very jobs that built the American middle class. India is not waiting in the wings. It's already center stage, and many of the roles the U.S. thought it was recapturing from China-India quietly claimed them. From Tamil Nadu to Gujarat, the shift is massive. Apple now manufactures millions of iPhones in southern India. Boeing is assembling critical defense technology in Hyderabad, and pharmaceutical powerhouses are moving major production lines out of the Midwest and straight into Indian industrial zones. These aren't small outsourcing gigs. These are billion-dollar moves, contracts that once filled American warehouses, employed entire towns, and kept freight moving from coast to coast. Now, they're slipping quietly out of reach. Why is India winning? Part of it is practical. Lower costs, trained engineers, and government incentives that actually deliver. But deeper than that, it's stability. In a world where U.S. policy shifts with every election cycle, India is offering multinational corporations something rare: predictability, decades-long commitments, expanding infrastructure, a young, educated workforce that's growing in both skill and size. And here's what stings most. India isn't just where goods are made, it's where they're sold. With over 1.4 billion people and a swelling middle class, global brands are now designing products for Indian consumers, not just Indian factories. The work that once came home to America is being tailored, scaled, and shipped for India's future instead. And what's left behind, rusting warehouses in Ohio, delayed groundbreakings in Tennessee, freight lines growing colder by the day. Towns that were promised recovery but now sit in a slow, unsettling silence. Some still wait for jobs that may never come back, while global boardrooms have already shifted their maps. Number 3, Sweden. Imagine a future where the heartbeat of global industry no longer echoes from Detroit or Pittsburgh, but from the clean, quiet precision of Scandinavia. Sweden, long associated with flat-pack furniture and pop music, is quietly emerging as a force reshaping global manufacturing. It didn't make a loud entrance. While America wrestles with inflation, union standoffs, and erratic trade policy, Sweden has been building, steadily, strategically, and sustainably. This is not about nostalgia or novelty. Sweden is now home to some of the world's most advanced industrial movements. Volvo is spearheading autonomous electric trucks. Ericsson is laying the digital framework for next-generation 5G systems. ABB is perfecting robotics for global production lines. These aren't vanity projects. These are billion-dollar innovations backed by global demand and a workforce trained for tomorrow. The reasons companies are shifting north are sobering. Sweden offers what America used to promise: skilled labor, reliable infrastructure, political stability, and long-term planning that doesn't reset every 4 years. The Swedish government has poured resources into green energy and digital transformation, making it easier, cheaper, and more secure to build the future there. And the results are clear. Ports like Gothenburg are growing, export corridors are bustling. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., towns built on manufacturing legacies are watching their last plants go dark. The factories that made steel, machines, turbines, once the pride of the Rust Belt, now sit hollow, while their former partners invest in Scandinavian innovation zones. This is not just a redirection of goods, it's a redirection of trust. When companies choose Sweden over the U.S., they're making a long-term bet on where the future is most welcome. And each time that choice is made, it chips away at the economic future of American towns still waiting for recovery that may never come. So now, the question isn't why Sweden is rising, it's why the U.S. stopped leading. When the lights go on in Stockholm and go off in St. Louis, who will notice and who will be left waiting for jobs that already boarded a ship across the Atlantic? Number 4, France. It used to be that France symbolized leisure wineries in Bordeaux, fashion houses in Paris, a place where tourists, not turbines, flowed, but in the shadow of lavender fields and cathedrals. Something far more powerful is taking shape. France is no longer just a cultural jewel, it's becoming the industrial engine of Europe. And as American factories shutter and policies shift with every news cycle, France is drawing in the very industries the U.S. once proudly led. Today, companies like Airbus, Renault, and Schneider Electric are not just expanding, they are anchoring entire production ecosystems inside France's modern industrial zones, with billions in state-backed investment, streamlined logistics, and a workforce trained in everything from aerospace precision to battery engineering. France is building a future that used to have "Made in USA" stamped on it. And here's the deeper shift: France isn't waiting for the world to come to it. It's going out and sealing the deals, as the U.S. doubles down on tariffs and retrenchment. France has been busy forging quiet, long-term partnerships with Africa, the Middle East, and key nations across Asia. These are markets that once bought American-made goods by default. Now they're signing exclusive agreements with French producers who offer something the U.S. struggles to guarantee: stability. The impact: Detroit's foundries slow to a crawl. Assembly lines in Ohio gather dust. Former steel towns across Pennsylvania face yet another broken promise. Meanwhile, French ports are expanding, their trains are fuller, their cities are working, and American towns that once counted on industry as their identity now count layoffs and shuttered storefronts. This isn't just an economic shift, it's an emotional one. Because when American innovation loses ground to European coordination, what's left behind is more than just idle machines. It's a generation of workers questioning whether the world still needs what they know how to make. So now ask yourself, if even France, the land of cafes and catwalks, can outmaneuver America in manufacturing, what does that say about where the real industrial future is being built? Number 5, Denmark. A country with fewer people than the state of Indiana has become one of the quiet giants rewriting the rules of global industry. Denmark, with its population just over 5 million, is no longer just known for pastries and bikes. It's now the heart of something bigger, a new economic order that is leaving the United States out of the loop. While American manufacturing towns wrestle with rusty machines, aging infrastructure, and policy flip-flops, Denmark is racing ahead with purpose, precision, and power. What's fueling this shift? It's not just luck or size, it's vision. Denmark planted its future decades ago in clean energy, biotech, and industrial innovation, and now the seeds are bearing fruit. Ørsted, once a small Danish power company, is now the global leader in offshore wind. Its turbines spin quietly off coastlines across Europe and Asia, while American states still debate clean energy plans on paper. Novo Nordisk, a pharmaceutical behemoth born in Copenhagen, now controls more than half the global insulin market. They didn't wait for global supply chains to catch up, they built their own. International corporations are noticing. They're setting up shop in Denmark, drawn by its skilled workforce, stable rules, and access to the vast European Union market. It's not just one or two factories. Entire supply chains are being rerouted through Danish ports, Danish labs, Danish innovation parks cutting the United States out of deals it once led. American companies facing high tariffs, labor uncertainty, and supply chaos are suddenly watching their European partners choose Denmark instead. Not because they dislike America, but because Denmark works better. The consequences are already here, in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. The lights in some factories have dimmed, a layoff here, a closed plant there, each one a quiet crack in the foundation. Local suppliers suffer, truckers lose contracts, and towns built on 20th century industry wonder if they have a place in the 21st. For older workers who spent decades on the floor of steel mills and auto plants, there's something painfully ironic about watching Europe do industrial revival better than America. And here's the hard question: what happens when the next disruption hits if America clings to the past? Can it face a future already being built elsewhere? Because Denmark is not waiting. It's not even looking back. And in that mirror of global competition, the reflection staring back at us might be a warning. Number 6, Mexico. Mexico is no longer just the neighbor next door. It is becoming the new engine under the hood of North America's economy. What once was framed as a country of cheap labor and assembly lines is now being redefined as a high-functioning, high-value manufacturing powerhouse. From the heart of Guadalajara to the industrial veins of Monterrey and Querétaro, Mexico is rising not as a sidekick to the United States, but as a serious contender in the global supply race. And many in America are only now starting to see the cost. This shift did not happen overnight. After years of economic volatility and policy gridlock in the United States, global manufacturers were left searching for an alternative one close to American soil, but without the chaos. Mexico stepped in. It now offers something many U.S. cities can't: consistency. Consistency in labor, in logistics, in tax policy. Major corporations, particularly in auto, electronics, and aerospace, are moving production south. These are not temporary relocations. These are permanent moves, backed by billions of dollars and years of planning. As Trump-era tariffs reshaped trade corridors and added friction to U.S.-China imports, Mexico became the shortcut, not just geographically but economically. With trade deals like the USMCA and reliable rail links to both coasts, the country became a natural magnet for investment. And while Washington, D.C. debates, delays, and deadlocks, Mexico is building plants, training engineers, and shipping parts across the globe. But every action has its shadow. For every high-tech factory opening in Mexico, there is often a dimmed facility in Ohio, Indiana, or Western Pennsylvania. Towns that once roared with the sound of American machinery now sit quietly, their workers laid off with little media attention. These aren't just numbers, they are fathers, daughters, neighbors who built the very products now being sourced elsewhere. The silence around these losses makes them even more painful. This isn't merely outsourcing, it's repositioning. Global businesses are not looking to save pennies on wages, they're looking to future-proof operations. And right now, Mexico is offering the whole package: workforce, infrastructure, and international reach, all without the political baggage that continues to weigh down U.S. policy and production. So where does that leave America? Is this the logical evolution of global commerce, or the slow dismantling of an industrial promise once made to millions of working-class families as Mexico rises? It's not filling in gaps left behind, it's stepping into the spotlight. And the longer we ignore this shift, the more permanent it becomes. Number 7, the Netherlands. The Netherlands may be small in size, but it's rewriting the rules of economic gravity, while American cities wrestle with delays, red tape, and uncertain policies. This low-lying country of just over 17 million people is quietly becoming the control tower of global commerce. With a sharp mind for logistics and a system that values precision over power, the Dutch have turned their ports, railways, and business districts into magnets for international trade, and American companies are starting to follow. At the heart of this transformation is the port of Rotterdam. It isn't just a harbor, it's a machine. Streamlined customs, fully digitized freight tracking, and 24/7 container flow allow goods to move in and out faster than many American ports can even begin unloading. While ships linger off California's coastlines for days, sometimes weeks, Rotterdam keeps pulsing like clockwork, efficient, organized, dependable. For businesses chasing predictability in a chaotic world, that means everything. But it's not just logistics that's pulling U.S. investment overseas. It's the full Dutch package: tax-friendly laws, a world-class digital infrastructure, a workforce fluent in global business, and seamless access to the European Union's vast consumer market. American firms in biotech, tech, and finance are increasingly shifting operations not out of rebellion, but out of necessity. They're not trying to flee the U.S., they're trying to survive. And right now, the Netherlands offers the kind of certainty that American soil no longer guarantees. While American policy debates drag through Congress and port funding hits bureaucratic walls, the Dutch are already laying smart roads, building AI-driven supply systems, and connecting every inch of trade infrastructure into one smooth network. Quietly, methodically, they are carving out a new future of commerce, one that doesn't need to shout because it simply works. And that's the part that stings. This isn't a story of theft. It's a story of being outpaced, as American cities try to catch up to yesterday's problems. The Netherlands is already living tomorrow's solutions. The question now isn't whether we're being left behind, but whether we're still on the map at all. Number 8, South Africa. South Africa was once overlooked an ocean away from the boardrooms that decided where the world's goods would be made and shipped. But today, that quiet distance has turned into quiet power. What used to be a footnote in the global supply chain is now a headline, and American industries, especially in textiles, automotive components, and pharmaceuticals, are feeling the shift deep in their bones. This is not the old model of chasing cheap labor. It's something more strategic after years of trade wars, unpredictable tariffs, and supply disruptions. Global corporations have grown wary of putting all their bets on China or Mexico. They've redrawn the world map of trade, and South Africa, once off the radar, is now squarely at its center. Its ports in Durban, Cape Town, and Port Elizabeth are humming with activity. Cranes rise, containers stack, raw materials flow in, finished goods flow out. But the transformation is about more than ships and containers. South Africa is building an entire ecosystem to welcome global business. Special economic zones now offer tax incentives, logistics subsidies, and streamlined customs clearance. The government is investing in renewable energy to power factories, building tech-driven freight corridors, and expanding fiber internet to manufacturing zones. Multinational firms don't just see a cheaper option, they see a smarter one. The timing could not be more precise. When the Trump-era tariffs sent shockwaves through America's old supply chains, South Africa was prepared, and as other countries scrambled, South Africa welcomed them, offering something U.S. ports and cities increasingly cannot: certainty. While American terminals struggle with political gridlock, infrastructure decay, and union deadlock, South Africa's ports are running on efficiency and long-term strategy. And this shift isn't just about private companies. Former allies who once relied on the U.S. for trade are now cutting deals directly with South Africa. Bilateral agreements are rising, regional coalitions are forming, and global trust is shifting one shipping container at a time. So what does that mean for the United States? It means fewer jobs in industrial towns from Iowa to Michigan. It means more factories going dark, More workers laid off without headlines. More missed exports from American farms and tech labs. It also means something harder to measure: an erosion of influence. For decades, America led with its economy. But now, even that leverage is up for negotiation. In a world built on speed, dependability, and trust, South Africa has quietly become indispensable. And here's the truth no one wants to say aloud once trade routes shift. They almost never shift back. Number 9. Vietnam. Vietnam was once mentioned only as a distant name on a clothing label: cheap, replaceable, temporary. But today, that label reads something very different. It reads permanent shift. It reads new epicenter. While America was looking the other way, Vietnam stepped up, and in 2025, it's no longer just a country for low-cost labor. It's a new industrial force, and it's changing the global economy in ways the United States never anticipated. Factories that once stood in North Carolina, Indiana, or Ohio are sitting quiet now. The noise, the movement, the deals, they're not gone. They've just moved. They're humming across the Pacific in Hanoi, in Ho Chi Minh City, in the massive new tech parks near Da Nang. Companies that once swore loyalty to American soil apple, Intel, Nike have shifted core parts of their supply chain to Vietnam, and they're not alone. German car makers, Korean electronics giants, Japanese auto firms, all betting big on a country that moves fast, offers stability, and knows exactly what it wants to become. And while America debates tariffs and gets mired in labor negotiations and broken infrastructure, Vietnam builds. Its roads are new, its ports are smart, its economic zones are efficient and globally connected. Over the past decade, Vietnam has joined nearly a dozen major trade pacts, including the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, the very pact the United States walked away from. And that choice echoes still, because while America said wait, Vietnam said yes. What's even more startling is the human impact back home. Workers in small U.S. towns who were promised a manufacturing resurgence are seeing nothing return. Empty plants, idle forklifts, pledges that evaporated. Some still wait for jobs that will never arrive, not realizing those same roles are already filled thousands of miles away, where the machines are humming and deadlines are being met in Vietnamese factories. This is no longer about outsourcing for cost. It's about replacement for survival. And when global companies choose between speed and sentimentality, they choose Vietnam, because Vietnam offers something America no longer guarantees: direction, purpose, momentum. In the silence of abandoned industrial towns across America, the message is clear: Vietnam isn't rising by chance. It's rising because it said yes when others hesitated, and every day that passes, the gap grows wider. Number 10. Fiji. Fiji was once a name you associated with honeymoons, not headlines, postcards, not policy. But while the world saw white sand and bottled water, savvy nations and corporations began seeing something more: a gateway. In the shadows of America's rising trade complications and global leadership hesitation, this small Pacific island chain is stepping into a role few imagined: economic alternative. And it's playing that role with quiet precision. The shift didn't begin with fanfare. It began with frustration over U.S. bureaucracy, over rising operating costs, over inconsistent trade stances. As the global economy splintered after years of tariffs, supply chain blockages, and diplomatic standoffs, businesses started looking for new ground, not bigger, just better. And in that moment, Fiji emerged. Why? Because it offers exactly what U.S. ports and cities are struggling to guarantee: predictability, access, and speed. Fiji now sits squarely along essential Pacific trade routes. Its government is actively reshaping policies to welcome foreign investment with minimal red tape. The country's long-standing diplomatic neutrality means it's a friend to many and a threat to none, a rare status in today's increasingly polarized trade landscape. And while Washington debates regulations, Fiji builds data centers, undersea internet cables, renewable energy hubs. Pilot manufacturing zones are already underway, and they're not just symbolic, they're operational. But perhaps the most important thing Fiji offers is flexibility. Companies frustrated by the endless delays in Los Angeles or Oakland are suddenly seeing clearer skies literally and economically through Suva and Lautoka. The turnaround time is shorter, the rules are simpler, and the costs lower. This isn't just a curious development, it's a quiet alarm bell. because the kinds of contracts now landing in Fiji's lap: telecom infrastructure, green energy grids, trade node developments were once almost automatically given to America or its closest allies. Now, hesitation about U.S. stability is opening space for new players. And while Fiji's rise is remarkable, the deeper story is about the shifting weight of trust in international trade. So what does this mean for America? Less traffic through key ports, fewer shipments feeding factories in California or Oregon, more global companies bypassing the U.S. altogether in favor of places like Fiji that get things done without delay. And that should make us ask, when even paradise becomes more practical than the powerhouse, what exactly are we losing, and how quickly the world is quietly rearranging itself, and the signs are impossible to ignore. Nations like Denmark, France, Vietnam, and even Fiji are stepping into roles once held tightly by American and Western manufacturing giants. This isn't just a story about trade or technology. It's about real people, about disappearing jobs, changing neighborhoods, and the unraveling routines of daily life. Understanding these shifts isn't just important, it's personal. It means seeing where the world is going, and how those changes will reach your doorstep sooner than you think. If this video helped open your eyes to the deeper story behind the headlines, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep bringing you clear, grounded insights into the global changes that truly matter. And if you believe others deserve to understand what's happening too, give this video a like and share it with someone who's ready to look beneath the surface. The future isn't waiting, it's already happening. Let's stay informed together.